Hello everyone, this is Shokora Zouheikyoku, aka chocomint, and welcome back to our Let's Play of Meeting in the Flesh. In the last playthrough, we have found out another secret of Nyargh, which is about himself, about his culture, and about his strangeness in comparison with the other people in the society, in which it will change people's perception of himself and cause a lot of trouble. So, at the very least, he felt that veil is very important, close enough to tell about the secret. And now the eclipse has come, so it was time for the eclipse. And I believe that Bill and Nyargh will be going together to watch the eclipse from the store. So let's go. Nyargh wants to repair a few things first. A small container of salt biscuits and another of tea. Because it wouldn't hurt to enjoy ourselves during this special occasion, he says. And once the reparations are made, we head up the ladder that leads to the roof of the store. The view from the roof is nice. There are higher buildings around, of course, as well as ones with tall spires. The view from those high places must be fabulous, I imagined. But for the two of us, the roof of Nyargh's store is perfect. There are empty crates here and there, formerly used to store old supplies and broken containers, and Nyargh drags a few closer to the edge so we can take a seat. And we share this tea and biscuits. Are you excited, Nyargh? Somewhat, but not as much as most people, I imagine. Probably not. I laugh as I take a sip of my tea. Around us, people are starting to bustle onto the rooftops, others leaning out the windows to get good looks at the sky. Some woof and shout with excitement, others popping open expensive bottles of honey liquor. All around us, people exude excitement and anticipation. This isn't too much for you, is it? The atmosphere, you know. Nyargh seems to get what I mean after a few moments, and his mouth breaks into grins. One tentacle reaches forward to brush the hair from my face and pats me on the shoulder. I'm perfectly fine. Thanks for asking. No need to worry about me. Especially now that it's begun. The tentacle on my shoulder shifts up, past my cheek, to point towards the sky. And as we raise our gaze up past the horizon, we see the suns begin to collide. The light is almost blinding when the sun shades begin to overlap, their clothes combining into something truly radiant. The warmth that washes over us seems to magnify twofold, threefold. More than one person below on the streets shouts in delight, followed by murmurs our amazement. I scoot over on my crate, thoughtlessly pulling myself closer to Nyargh, and he draws a tentacle over my shoulder. Ooh! Even before the moon begins to eat away at the sun shapes, something deep within us screams that this is a special moment, that something monumental is about to begin, and we do not want to be alone during it. My fingers wrap around the tip of Nyargh's tentacle, squeezing around its warm, fleshy tip. But we remain quiet as the skies begin to darken. The change is immediate. As soon as the moon's outline begins carving into the sun's glow, the skies lose that magnificent luster. The awed murmur washes through the crowd on the streets, and even those sitting on rooftops or leaning out of windows try to get a closer look. The light passing up the clouds is also distorted, throwing crescent-shaped shadows on the ground and spots. I inadvertently gripped a little tighter at Nyargh's tentacle, watching as the moon continues its march across the sky, and carrying us to what lies in its path. The suns, meanwhile, have almost completely overlapped with each other, covering in unison behind the moon. Bit by bit, they vanish. An incredible heaviness bears down upon us as soon as the moon completely masks the sun. A strange pressure, like an invisible hand reaching down from the skies, aiming to crush us. Every sound feels magnified, and I'm startled when a small child shouts from the streets, followed immediately by a parent trying to shush them. Talking feels taboo. Moving feels taboo. Even looking away feels like it should not be permitted. It feels like the word itself is telling us, this is a moment we must not take for granted. We are in the presence of something monumental. I can feel Nyargh's core shook lightly with every breath, but neither of us says a word. And though I don't dare drag my eyes down from the sky, now why the moon still looms above us, run only by the thinnest circles of sunlight. I can see the rest of the cityscape out of the periphery of my vision. The various shapes and structures around us are lit eerily, thin streaks of light throwing the edges into sharp contrast against their shadow sides. For one instant, the city feels like a completely foreign place, like a place I should not be. A deep, rasping exhale leaves my lungs, catching me by surprise. I must have been holding my breath. It's difficult even breathing during this eclipse. But then spell breaks. The eclipse arresting hold on us dissipates as quickly as it started. The sun struggled past the moon's shadow, bathing us in that familiar light once more. Bit by bit, the skies light up once more. Stray wolves and howlers begin to run out from all around us, as the people are ecstatic to realize they've survived something deadly. I give a long, slow exhale once more, trying to calm down my own bounding heart. When I pull my hand away from Nyargh's tentacle, I realize I must have been subconsciously gripping it with all my strength. The tip is flushed, and my fingers have left marks. Don't worry about it. Nyargh addresses it before I can apologize. I would have done the same. That clothes really is something. We're both still a little quiet as we clean up the remnants of our snacks. Even once the cityscape around us is lit up like the usual once more, the streets below us busy from the crowds of people steadily dispersing, we both find our thoughts lingering with the eclipse. It would have that effect on everyone, I'm sure. Even though I don't truly believe in the superstition that the eclipse is the best day for making big decisions, I'm starting to understand why people might hold that belief. And if someone were to ask me to make a big decision right at this moment, I feel like I might be able to say yes. Though, I'll help him clean up the store and start heading towards the door when Nyargh stops me. Yes? I know I've already asked a lot from you today. Telling you the truth about myself and expecting you to still trust me. Accepting your help in cleaning the store and tending to my work, and watching the eclipse together. But if you allow me, I'd like to make one more request of you. If it's something I can help with, I'll be happy to. My answer slips out without a second thought. Nyargh, however, stalls for a moment. Two of his tentacles knit at each other, and I'm slow to realize it's a sign of nervousness. It's the slight edge to his voice that makes me realize Nyargh's request this time won't be anything so trivial. Your acceptance meant a lot to me, as did your companionship. I've come to truly value you during our time knowing each other. So, Bill, would you be my partner? Ooh, ooh, ooh. Okay, nice. My heart stops in my chest. I'm not sure if I expected this question or not. But seeing Nyargh's reaction, I can't bring myself to hesitate. After all, he already spent years keeping a painful secret to himself, and I didn't want to make him wait any longer. And besides, in my heart, I already knew my answer. Of course, the answer is yes. Obviously, the answer is yes. I will. Of course, Nyargh. I will. You will? I nod decisively. Oh, okay, a different hands this time. Nyargh, the fact that you trusted me enough to tell me your secret means a lot to me. I've always considered you a good friend, of course. But being with you today, learning more about you, made me realize how comfortable I feel around you. You're amazing, I think. Not many people can be as kind as considerate as you, especially when they're harboring such a difficult secret. So if I can be by your side more, and learn about you more, and be closer to you, I want to do it. I want to be your partner. Nyargh seemed stunned at first. Ooh, interesting. He's like floating, or is his tentacles are really long and then he's standing on that tentacles? I'm not sure. The spot looks like he's floating though. Then his tentacles reached forward in a flurry of movement. They went about me, encasing me in a gentle but firm warmth as he pulls me closer, much closer. Thank you, Belle. Thank you. You don't understand how happy you've made me. From this proximity, his voice sounds so much deeper. I'm pretty sure I can't make my voice any deeper. Every time he exhales, his breath clutches warm against my skin, and I wrap my arms around his tentacles to embrace him. I'm really glad we're both happy. Even when I pull back, one of his tendrils lingers against me, as if wanting to maintain the contact. And upon close inspection, I can tell it's the one I've been rubbing during the eclipse. It still has a few dark marks, right where my finger squeezed at it. I guess I got a little ahead of myself, wanting to hold you. Nyargh chuckles, brushing the tentacle up against my cheek. Just a little bit. But that's not a bad thing. Nyargh has always been comfortable to be around. His presence has always been soothing. I've always been aware of it since I started delivering to his store. But here now, it feels completely different. We share a secret, and we shared a very special moment together, beneath that darkened sky lit only by the wind of the eclipse. Even if neither of us truly believes in the auspicious powers of the eclipse, we can't help feeling like something special brought us together. It's all the more reason we want to be close to each other, to get to know each other more, to be with each other. I shouldn't keep this too long, but the scene looks kinda, yes. It really looks very sensual. Oh my god. Okay, next. Nyargh's body is warm, much warmer than I anticipated. I've noticed before that his tentacles are warm, of course. The flesh is sensitive in spots, broken beneath the touch of fingers. Some are thicker than others, some are very sensitive, and some are frail, while others are strong enough to easily lift me off my feet. But all of them are perfectly gentle as they glide across my body, never letting me forget their presence. Even when one coils around my waist, lifting me up effortlessly, the tentacle's flesh is soft and careful. Nyargh treats me like something precious he would never want to break, even as he surrounds me. Not an inch of my body goes untouched, it feels like. Though the tentacles vary in size and function, all of them are dexterous, and they never stop roaming my body in search of unexplored places. Oh my god, no. The CG and the scene, I mean, the writing is great, but oh my god, oh my. The descriptions of these scenes though. The inside of my thigh, the underside of my ribcage, the deep furrows between the spines on my back, the spots at the bottom of my abdomen, the nape of my neck, the curve of my collarbones. They touch me in spots I'm not used to being touched, insistently making their presence known. It's almost unfair how Nyargh is able to do so much to me, while I have a harder time doing the same. He laughs when I tell him as much. The tendril looped around my waist pulls me closer, closer, until the very core of his body hangs close above my back. From this proximity, I can almost feel each breath and throb of his body. I can hear the slick of saliva each time he licks his lips, the rush of blood through the fine veins of his tentacles. I can see the way his body continues to flush darker. Even as he says doesn't mean to tease me, he continues to explore. A tentacle reaches up to touch against my tumble, then very gently drags downward, brushing against my cheek. In some small act of revenge, I take it in my hands to wrestle some of that control away from him. Oh, so that's what this scene is. The tentacle swirls briefly in my rib, seemingly in broadcast, and I squeeze it gently with my fingertips. The flesh is warm and pliable, the muscle underneath undulating each time Nyargh breathes, and it twitches sharply when I press my lip to the tip. It's just a small kiss, brief and light. But Nyargh seems to want more. The tentacle stretches back towards my mouth and oh my god. The tentacle stretches back towards my mouth when I pull it away. This is stretching though. Oh my. How could I not oblige? I kiss it again, then once more. Each time, the tentacles around my body tense and throb. Nyargh patiently endures the little kisses, but only for so long. Eventually, he gives an impatient wriggle against my palms. Another tentacle swoops in, gently winding around my arms, over my wrists, and through the gaps in my fingers, as if grasping my hand. When I obligingly let go, both tendrils wound around me in a warm embrace, tugging me even closer. Fair enough. After so much time spent keeping his distance and keeping his secret, he's earned the right to be as close as he likes, I think. Nyargh continues to explore, and I gladly welcome it, moving to allow him more and more access to myself. The soft flesh at the inside of my lips, the sensitive deep below my sternum, and the deepest, most intimate parts of my body. Oh, no, this writing though, the graphic though, it makes you imagine a lot of things. We get to experience them together. Stepping onto the streets the day after the eclipse is a surreal feeling. Overnight, it seems, the city is reverted back to its usual self. People drum about at leisurely paces, pause to greet each other and ask how they are. The atmosphere is pleasant but tranquil. Only traces of the eclipse remain. Stores that don't open their doors again because the owners left for other ventures, the remains of celebratory banners strung over some doorways, an abandoned honey liquor container here and there. It's impossible for anyone to forget the eclipse actually happened. Anyone who witnessed the way the skies went dark would surely remember it for a long time to come. But we all have to move on. Of course, I resume my usual route the following day. My boss and I only have a few moments to talk about how our eclipse went. It went wonderfully, he says. And mine as well, I say. It's a simple answer, but that's all I really need to say. My route stays largely the same, regardless of the eclipse. Only the amount of salt varies slightly, and that's a trouble. But there is one significant difference. Nearing the end of my route, I find my feet moving faster, my pace quickening. My claws kick up the dirt quickly enough to leave small dust clouds in my wake, and I need to brace myself hard to avoid skidding around a corner as I head down a familiar stretch of the street. Even from blocks away, a familiar scent greets me as if welcoming me home. Nyargh. It becomes the highlight of my everyday. Getting to throw the door open and greet Nyargh, regardless of if he's requested a delivery that day or not. And he always greets me with open tentacles, embracing me and holding me close, like something he never wants to let go. And nice. And that should be it for the last round of Nerd for meeting in the flesh. This round is really nice, and it's also the end of our playthrough for the series. To be honest, it's really interesting. Since I'm going to do the overview of all the routes and everything. I'm going to mention Nerd's route later on. So about the game, Meeting in the Flesh is a kind of nice game, especially for Halloween or for people who likes horror-ish and monster-ish stuff, like coating monsters and stuff like that. And in this sense, it's a literal monsters. Like I did a series about ghost boys or just spooky stuff. So that is something very light that you can play for Halloween. But this one is more, I guess, mature, more serious. Nothing wrong in the story, nothing too spooky, but the spookiness of itself is in the world building, about the characters, about the inhabitants of the world in Meeting in the Flesh. So that's really nice. So first we move to the art. I really like the art. It's very nice. I believe it has a kind of painting-ish style of art that you can see on the main screen, which is very nice. The design of the characters is lovely, since they are monsters. So, of course, you cannot judge it on humanoid style reference. So, my favorite is Iesto because I don't know, he looks most human. I don't know, maybe because of the hair and everything. I also like his design, looks pretty cool. Of design, character design, I like Iesto most. But of course, the others are cool too. I also like the others. And aside from our suitors, we also meet side characters that they are presented in sprites. Just one expression sprites, but they are still here. And you can feel the atmosphere around the world. The background are very lofty too. So consistent art to the sprites fix the background and everything. So next, the story. So this is kind of the interesting is the world building in Meeting in the Flesh is very nice actually. It gives us insight into a different world where people, well, not technically, people, but they don't have humanoid forms. They are not humans. More of monstrous appearance, but there are people there, and they have cultures, life cycles that are different between each other, and the way of coding is also different too, as you can see on the route of our suitors here. You can see most of the culture life cycles on Iesto and Nyargh's route, but Nyargh's route is more culture about himself, which is not affecting anyone, and Iesto is more affecting a lot more people in a sense. So cultural difference, life cycle difference of the type of being. Yeah, let's call them being. The world also don't eat normal food or anything like that. They do eat honey, but they don't eat rice or something. They eat salt to keep themselves alive. A different word that not a normal word. They have a lot of flash type kind of imagery, like the tools and everything. Some of the grounds, like the flash fields. So it is literally flash field. So that's interesting. And they also have some kind of interest in blood. They drink blood or something like that. or is it like blood salt? I don't remember the exact name of that salt, but there is that. The music symbol is suitors, so I can't say anything more. There is only one music, I believe. Not a variety of music, just symbol. But it works, so as long as it works, then it's alright. The next thing is the story, each perspective route. So for myself, my favorite is Nyargh's route. Like I did mention before, my favorite love interest is Iesto. I just like his appearance. I like his appearance most of all the suitors. Of course, Nyargh and Verdant looks really cool too, but Iesto just calls to me very much. But my favorite story is Nyargh because it's more traditional, and it also doesn't affect Vil very much. The difference of that is that sequels are told, they have a little date, and they kind of become lovers or partner. So it's very kind of a gradual romance, a normal kind, a traditional type of romance kind of thing. So something that we are used to normally. It is suitable for anyone who likes traditional romance, but also kind of not at the same time of serious and the strange world. So there are horror-ish part there, but the traditional part of kind of romance is also there. So it's light. The horror type of romance is light. So good for anyone who wants to start it out on indie routes. The next route is my second favorite. It's really hard to choose between Iesto and Braden, since each of them have their own kind of charm to it in their route. But let's go from the lightest kind of horrorish to the heaviest type then. So next is Braden, which is in between of the kind of spectrum of horror-ish romance in a sense. So Braden's story is more of an adventure to other world. So everything changes. The romance doesn't really exactly appear in the world, their original world. Of course, we have the little deeds here and there, but eventually, at the end, they stay in another world, and the way they love each other is a bit different, but also the same. And also, the horrorish part of it is kind of when they, I guess that's the body dysphoria. I'm not sure if that's a good definition of that. It's just that there's a little bit of discomfort in a different body. It's not their normal body, and you can see in the ending there's some kind of, I guess, imagination, illusion, in a sense. So more of that you can watch the ending of Braden's route. I also have posted, so if you want to find more about that, you can check that out, or you can play through the game yourself, which is free, by the way. So feel free to try out the game and support the developer. It's a different world, so Vil travels with Braden to another world, and their romance ended there. So the third one is Iesto. This one is more of a non-traditional romance and more horrorish, because Braden's romance is still kind of traditional-ish, but it's not in the world they are in. It's in a different world. And Iesto is a kind of different kind of romance altogether. It contains a lot of kind of triggering warning in that, because it relates to kind of merge together, become one. It's related to war, but not really. It's a strange life cycle. But Vil haven't died. Vil is still alive, but they are merged in a sense. So that kind of romance is kind of weird, like super weird. But if what is interesting is an actual monstrous horrorish romance, then Yasto is a good route to be in, because they're happy together, but the ending kind of romance is kind of strange too. It's not traditional, alright? So that should be it for our meeting in the flesh. I love the idea. I especially love the world building. Very nice. And thank you to the developer for creating this lovely game. I'm looking forward to their new incoming game in the future. I believe they have a demo of a game right now. And I'm looking forward to see any development on the game and any full version coming out. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you on the next playthrough of another game. Bye bye!